All right, buckle up, everybody. We're going deep today, like really deep. Imagine someone just thinking out loud, trying to make sense of something totally new they're wrestling with.
That's exactly what we've got.
That's our source material, a raw audio recording, unfiltered. Someone exploring this concept they call technical linguistic debt.
And get this, technical linguistic debt isn't like an official term. You won't find it in a textbook or anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's something this person seems to have just come up with.
So we're diving into someone's brain, basically.
Kind of. Our mission is to break down the language, the patterns, how they're using words to work through this self-made concept.
Like a sneak peek behind the curtain, right?
Yeah.
The very early stages of someone's creative process before they've had time to polish and perfect.
Exactly.
I'm hooked already.
To really get what's going on, let's listen to a little snippet of the audio. This is where the speaker first throws out this idea of technical linguistic debt.
Okay, hit me with it.
All right.
Wow, you can practically hear the wheels turning, right?
Right.
Like reaching for something they can't quite grasp.
Exactly. And the language is fascinating. They talk about offloading this debt.
Offloading.
Yeah, like it's a burden, this feeling of being weighed down.
And they keep mentioning blasting.
Yes.
Which sounds like their way of saying creating content, getting their ideas out there.
It's like they're saying that putting their thoughts into words, just the act of expression, is what's creating this technical linguistic debt.
And there's a tension there, right?
Definitely.
They want their work to be productive, effective.
Yeah.
So it's like this debt is blocking them from reaching those goals.
Exactly. And I think to understand why we need to zoom out a bit, see the bigger picture. They keep bringing up this hypergraph thing. Seems like that's the end game of all this blasting.
Okay, so a hypergraph, for those of us who aren't, math geniuses.
Think of it like a visual map, but way more powerful. Instead of just A to B, it shows all sorts of crazy relationships between tons of things. Like, imagine a web of ideas, all interconnected.
Kind of like.
Exactly, like those super in-depth knowledge graphs you find on YouTube.
Okay.
You click one video, then another, then boom, down the rabbit hole you go.
So that's what this person is aiming for. A hypergraph like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a catch, right? That technical linguistic debt.
Yeah. It's almost like they're bumping up against the limits of language itself. They have this huge vision for their hypergraph, but turning those ideas into, well, something real, that's where the debt comes in.
Makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Language can be so messy, right? Like sometimes it feels like you just don't have the right words to explain what's going on in your head.
And you can hear that frustration in the audio, the way they keep questioning themselves, second-guessing their own ideas. It's like they're battling with the whole idea of communication.
And in the middle of all this hypergraph and debt stuff, they keep saying, day two, day two. What's with that?
I think it's a reminder, They're just starting out, still laying the groundwork.
So we're witnessing something brand new unfold.
Exactly.
Something that could change how we think about organizing and sharing knowledge online.
And that's what's so cool. We're not just breaking down a finished product. We're right there in the thick of it.
A mess, the uncertainty.
The whole human process.
Bringing a brand new idea into the world. All right, I need more.
Let's do it. And remember, this isn't just for them, this hypergraph thing.
Right.
They want to share it with the whole world.
They keep talking about open sourcing it. For those who might not know what that means.
It means anyone can use it, contribute to it. Imagine like Wikipedia. But instead of text, it's this whole web of interconnected ideas.
Okay, but how do you actually do that? Open source? Something as complex and personal as like a hypergraph?
That's the thing. They're working through it in the audio, trying different approaches.
Any specific examples?
They mentioned technical grading, like a system for making sure the information in the hypergraph is actually good, reliable.
So it's accurate and well-sourced.
Yeah.
Makes sense, especially for a collaborative thing, right?
Exactly. And they also talk about citing sources. So it's not just their thoughts. They're pulling from all kinds of places.
Like those YouTube knowledge graphs.
Right. They're weaving their own ideas with this massive network of information that's already out there.
And then it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
They start talking about like knowledge and family and even legacy.
It's like their hypergraph becomes more than just a project.
Yeah.
It's like something bigger, something that could, help future generations.
Whoa, that's deep.
It is. And then they bring up anti-natalism.
Anti what now?
The idea that having kids is wrong ethically because the world's full of suffering.
Oh, wow. Heavy stuff.
Definitely. But they don't just, dismiss it.
Yeah.
They actually present another way of looking at it.
Go on.
They talk about prepaying for future generations.
Yeah.
Prepaying.
Yeah, like, okay, maybe bringing new life into the world comes with downsides.
Yeah.
But what if you create something good to balance it out? Something that makes their lives better?
And the hypergraph, is that something?
It seems like it. They talk about it as like a tool for future generations to understand the world better, navigate all complexity, maybe even find meaning. It's almost like they're trying to create a roadmap to a better future.
It's ambitious.
It is. But you can hear it in their voice, the sincerity, the passion. They really believe in this.
It makes you wonder, though, right? Like, what if we all thought about our work that way? As something bigger, something lasting.
Right. How would that change how we do things?
Exactly. And that's what I love about this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're not just analyzing some abstract concept.
Nope.
This is about technology and language and just like this human need to make a difference.
All that from one person thinking out loud.
Pretty wild, right?
Speaking of which, I think we should jump back into the audio. The speaker has more to say about day 2 and, what it means for this whole technical linguistic debt thing.
I'm ready. Let's go. All right, so we're back. Day 2. Hypergraph in progress. Technical linguistic debt piling up. What's happening now?
Well, you can really sense the exhaustion. It's taking a lot out of them.
Yeah, I remember them saying something like, day 4, we might just be wiped. Like hitting a wall,
And not just physically. Mentally, too. They're tackling some pretty huge questions.
Makes you wonder if blasting all the time is even sustainable in the long run.
I think they're wrestling with that, too. They talk about finding a balance, pushing hard but not burning out.
They also mention wanting to, assimilate all the different pieces and communicate their truth as an aggregator. What's that about?
It's interesting, right? It gives you a peek into how they see themselves.
Yeah.
Gathering information from everywhere, not just coming up with stuff on their own, more like a curator, putting together a big picture.
And communicating their truth as an aggregator. Like they're saying there's a special perspective that comes from pulling it all together.
Exactly. It's not just repeating what's already out there. It's about finding the connections, the patterns, the stuff that emerges when you mix different viewpoints.
Kind of like what we do on the deep dive, right? Take a bunch of sources and try to pull out the good stuff.
Exactly. And that's where technical linguistic debt comes in.
Because you can't capture it all, right? No matter how good you are with words, there's always stuff that gets lost.
Yeah, and I think they feel that tension really strongly. Trying to find the right language to express something so complex when, well, words have limits.
But even though it's hard, there's this feeling that they're onto something important. They keep coming back to that hypergraph vision.
Right. This huge network of ideas that could change how we learn and think.
And that belief keeps them going, even when it gets tough.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. Big ideas. They usually start out messy, uncertain. But you got to work through that, wrestle with the technical linguistic debt to really make something amazing.
That's a great takeaway.
It has been quite a journey with the speaker today, exploring this whole idea of technical linguistic debt, seeing an idea come to life even just in its very early stages.
It's been fascinating. And hopefully it's gotten you thinking, too, about language, about creating, about making sense of the world and all this information.
Until next time.
Take care.